Now, as we flip to what's happening in this room right now that I'm sitting in, Asia Boone is sitting across from me, and she's not particularly happy to be here. No, I'm just kidding. She's not. She informed me before we got started that she's not doing interviews. Isn't her favorite thing to do in the world.
No.
And then when you saw that there were cameras in the room, now some people are just going to be listening to this on the podcast and they won't see us. But for those that are going to be watching on social media, that was an extra bit of contention whenever you walked in. You say, "There's cameras?"
Yeah.
See, you look like a very photogenic. You look like a person that would be. Anytime somebody's got a camera in the locker room or someone's got a camera on the bus, like it seems like you would want to be in the middle of it.
That's actually not true.
Not true.
It's crazy because a lot of people say that I am photogenic, but I don't like taking pictures at all. Like my mom will be like, every year we'll do family photos, and it's just not for me. I'm just not that type of person.
Even the family photos?
I mean, sometimes we'll have fun with it. Like, we'll do goofy. I'm a goofy, like, picture person. Like, I don't like to be serious in photos. I like to be goofy in them.
Well, I mean, do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable right now. If you want to do faces while we're talking, like I said, people on the podcast aren't going to know. The people that are watching, it'll keep them entertained as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asia Boone.
How big's your family? You're talking about family photos. How many's in that photo?
So my dad, my mom, and I have 3 other siblings.
Okay.
So it's not too big, but it's a pretty big family.
A big extended family too? Is it kind of just your immediate family when you go to Christmas and Thanksgiving, things like that, or do you go to?
No, actually, we kind of switch off every year. So last Thanksgiving, I was with my dad's side of the family, so my aunts, uncles, cousins, and then now this year, which I can't be there because we have the tournament in Texas, but my family's going to my mom's side in Arkansas for Thanksgiving.
Okay, so your mom's family's from what part of Arkansas?
I don't know specifically, but I think it's near Little Rock. Is that
okay? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know specifically, but yeah.
Because we up until this year, moving to Conference USA, we used to play in Arkansas against Central Arkansas the last couple of seasons.
I know my grandpa was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come to your games," but we changed conferences. So.
But he's not too far away. I mean,
no, he's not.
From some of those games in like Alabama, Jacksonville State. It's not super close, but it's a driving distance at least.
It's fun. He still watches on TV and stuff, so he still supports me.
Cool. So, okay, what's the family traditions? Thanksgiving or Christmas? Like, what are some of the things, food-wise? You go, okay, if you're coming to our Thanksgiving celebration, you better grab some of.
My mom's mac and cheese, my mom's greens, my aunt's potato salad, my dad's sweet potato pie, my uncle's brisket.
Get out of here. Brisket?
So good. It's so good.
I've never heard of anybody having brisket
we
for
have
Thanksgiving.
Everything on the table. Like anything that you could think of, it's on the table.
That's amazing.
Yeah. My big sister's green bean casserole, my grandmother's stuffing, and then my dad's turkey. And my uncles, they kind of work together. But yeah.
Is it traditional turkey or is there something special about it?
I don't know specifically. They stuff it with something, but they mostly butter it, put a seasoning on it. So kind of traditional.
Okay, because have you ever had a deep fried turkey?
I have. They deep fried one turkey, and then the other turkey, I don't know what they did, but the deep fried one was better to me. I liked it.
A friend of our family, he does that, but he injects it with something. It's almost like a big syringe with, I don't even know what all's in there. Sometimes it's a little spicy.
I think my dad does chicken broth or something like that, some type of broth, but I'm not totally sure.
I am absolutely starving right now because I haven't had anything to eat really all day. So now while we've got the topic of food, we haven't brought up the fact that this is a basketball team yet, I don't think. But while we're talking about food, you've been in Lynchburg long enough now. What's kind of your go-to if you're hungry?
For breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
You tell me.
For breakfast, I go to Bagel and I a lot.
Okay.
Or Blue Ridge Bagels. Lunch, I don't really eat lunch. But if I did go to lunch, I would go to Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Or Chipotle. Or Panera. There's a lot of choices.
We haven't, well, with breakfast, I guess, but lunch is just kind of chains. Is there any local place that's kind of your go-to that you can't get anywhere else?
No. When I was living in California, it was In-N-Out, but I moved to the East Coast, so.
That's still kind of a chain, though.
It's just, but there's no
more
local
West
for me.
Coast, yeah.
I usually go to the chains. I really don't
Really?
go to like the, yeah.
So no water dogs or no pizza joints, that local pizza places, or okay. So well, that's good to know. I've got some friends that won't eat any place that's not local. Like if you gave them a gift certificate for a chain, an Outback or something like that, it probably wouldn't go to use because they're only going to go to local places.
Oh wow!
And then, like I said, then there's other people that I know that they're going to go where it's safe. You know,
Yeah.
they're going to go to the places that they know is good. And
Yeah.
no matter what town you're in, Cracker Barrel's going to be Cracker Barrel, and
Cracker Barrel is good.
yeah, Outback, Chick-fil-A, they're going to,
Yes.
you're always going to get a good sandwich. Have you tried the new Chick-fil-A sandwich? I mean,
No, Emma has been wanting me to try it, but she said there's jalapenos in it, and I don't like spicy stuff like that. So I just haven't had a chance to try it.
okay.
But
So
she said it's really good.
no spicy stuff. Yeah, it's not like overwhelmingly
Oh no, she
spicy.
said it's not too spicy.
It's
like
'cause
it's good.
I think it's like pickled jalapeno, so it's sort
think
of
so.
Yeah, it's
It's just tangy.
yeah. That's a good way of saying it. Okay, so if you're on a road trip and you get Sarah sends out the list, and we're going to go to this restaurant and this restaurant and this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of some of the go-tos for you? Are you like a steak person, a chicken person? We mentioned the brisket. That was pretty good.
If we're on the road, if I'm working out a lot, if we have games, I would like to put something in my body that like is good for it, like is healthy, but like still like is good for my body, like proteins, carbs, all that stuff, and still get my sugars and stuff. But I like steak and chicken. I like them both. What I've been getting recently is like Parmesan chicken. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Spaghetti. I got pesto pasta. I've gotten a pizza, but like a veggie pizza. I love veggie pizza. I've gotten hamburgers and fries, but that's about it.
What did you get when we went to Buc-ee's? Did you pick up anything there?
I got the brisket sandwich.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the
I got
same
that with
thing. I
chips.
got the same thing.
It was really good. Me and Jordan got it.
Brisket sandwich, and then I had to get a little bit of the fudge too. That was pretty good.
Oh, did you like it?
Yeah.
Jordan said she said
I'm not
she
a
didn't
big
like it.
fudge person,
I'm
but
not
I
a
got
big
the
person.
sampler. So it
Okay.
was like a bunch of different varieties. So you figure, well, I didn't really like the key lime, and I didn't like but there were 10 other things to choose from,
Yeah.
which was too much. I probably didn't need. That would have been the good thing to get, and then go to your family's Christmas dinner, because then you could pick out the ones you want, and then let everybody else sample a little bit, cut it
Yes.
into pieces and stuff like that. But there's always that one relative though that's going to grab one, take a bite out of it, and go, oh, I don't like that, and stick it back in. And so
Yes.
you can't take a bite out of it and then put it back in the box,
That's
Grandma.
true.
I mean, come on. But yeah, the brisket sandwich there is really good, and they've got the Bucky. What are they called? The nuggets, the beaver nuggets or something like that.
I didn't see those.
Though I've tried those in the past, and those were really good. It's almost like caramel popcorn, but it's puffs.
Interesting.
It's not actually popcorn. It's not Sugar Puffs cereal.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than that, and maybe a little bit. I mean, it's obviously nicer than the cereal, but it's something similar to. It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
interesting.
I've never heard of that.
And apparently they have the same type of thing with savory flavors too, like cheese and. You had a cheese joke whenever you came in today. Do you remember the joke?
Yeah. Okay. Why do you call emergency cheese?
And I had no idea.
Just in queso.
See,
It's a great joke.
queso is probably my favorite thing on the planet. Anytime you got melted cheese is good to start with, but now you've got melted cheese and you throw some tortilla chips on top of it.
It's very good.
it doesn't get any better than that. I've got like this list of all the places that I've gone to that had queso and ranked them a little bit. So I know
wow.
if we go back to this town, you got to go to
that.
you got to go to that queso joint. Okay, now that we've completely derailed the conversation into basically just a food channel segment, which is cool. Do you ever watch the Food Channel?
I sometimes did with my mom when I was home.
Okay. Any particular shows that you like?
I specifically like baking. Like I like to see them construct the cakes and stuff because like it looks so real. But, like,
those crazy cakes.
Yes. It's super satisfying to watch. And then I forgot what it was called, but they go against the contestants go against the master chef.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
And like see who has the judges see who has the better dish.
Okay. Now you mentioned a bunch of people making things at your family's holiday outing, but you didn't say what Asia makes.
I make the deviled eggs. Sometimes I'll help my dad with the sweet potato pie because like that's my favorite. Sometimes I'll help with the turkey, probably just the injections or like the seasoning. But I kind of usually and the mashed potatoes. That's what I make. I make the mashed potatoes because that's my favorite part.
But the deviled eggs, don't skip past that. That's a very important part.
Yeah.
That's a very southern thing, though, I feel like. Not that you probably wouldn't see it, but I feel like if you were in Seattle or Montana or someplace like that, you might not find deviled eggs. Maybe even New York or New Jersey, it might not be as much of a thing. But if you're in the South, you're going to find some deviled eggs and mashed potatoes and sweet potato. And I guess sweet potatoes aren't necessarily... Sweet potato casseroles and sweet potato pies and those types of things aren't necessarily going to be all over the country. But speaking of all over the country, that was the other question I had before we started was, where do you want me to say that you're from? And there's a lot of options. Tell us a little bit about your background growing up and moving around.
So I was born in Chesapeake, Virginia, which is probably like 30 minutes from Norfolk. So I just kind of say I'm from Norfolk because nobody knows where
Right.
Chesapeake is. So that's where I'm originally from, but I was also raised in California, San Diego. So I was raised there basically almost my whole life from first grade to my sophomore year of high school. And then I moved to DC for my junior year. And that was mostly for my basketball situations. I wasn't really in a good situation in San Diego, so I moved to DC because there was better opportunities. And then I started playing AAU in the DC area on Team Durant. And then IMG offered me, and I got the scholarship. So I moved to Florida, away from my family, a year earlier. And
how tough was that, having to move away from?
It was definitely tough, especially from my little sister, because I'm really close with her and she's the only one at home. So it was definitely hard for us to be separated, but it was hard to be away from my parents. I definitely had to grow up faster than I needed to, but I was mature enough and knew what I was doing, so I'm responsible.
Any positives? I mean, obviously the homesickness, I'm sure, was there a little bit and being away from everybody, but now that you can kind of look back at it and go, you know what?
Oh, it was worth it for sure. Like I would have done it. I would do it again. Definitely.
What part of Florida?
Bradenton.
Okay. So you got some pretty good weather down there.
Oh, yes. But when I got there, I did not like it at all. Because it was super humid, but the mosquitoes were there. So I had to cover up because the mosquitoes love me for no reason. So I had to cover up and stay inside. But the weather got better and I loved it. So I went to the beach all the time.
So yeah, you've DC, San Diego. So you've seen some winters. I'm sure there was some. Of course, you were only there for a short period of time, but you probably saw some snow.
Yeah.
But then, other than that, you've had pretty temperate climates your entire life. If you're talking about San Diego, well, I guess if you can remember way back to the Chesapeake days, that would have been a little bit of winter weather.
Yeah, it was snowing when I was back in Chesapeake when I was born there, but San Diego, that was all sunshine.
72 every day.
Always.
I mean, that's probably the craziest climate in the world that it doesn't change. Even in the summer, it doesn't get oppressively hot.
It never gets like
the
too
same.
hot to where like, oh yeah, I gotta stay inside. No, you could do anything.
Yeah, I'd love to know the physics and the science of why San Diego just stays almost within a probably 8-degree range year round. Is crazy.
Always.
But as far as outdoor activities and sports, and if you like golf or any of those, or surfing, and I mean that's just the perfect. If you don't like to pay a lot of taxes, not the best, that's
Oh my goodness.
that's not the best place to live, but
yeah,
it's paradise otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. If you are young and you just graduated college, do not go to California. Do not go to California.
A lot of your income is going to go right back to California.
Yes.
Well, this is fun. I sometimes we have these conversations with no real roadmap, and I don't know where it's going to go. And I wasn't really expecting us to get into the weather of Southern California or taxes, or sweet potato pie. But we've gotten to all those locations. We haven't even talked about basketball yet, so we'll take a quick timeout. Okay. And when we come back, I promise we'll actually talk about the sport that got you to Liberty, and maybe give a little bit of a background of how Liberty became in your, or how it became in your future, how it was in your future. That's when you're talking past tense, and now you're trying to make it present tense. I set myself up for really sounding dumb, but I'm pretty good at that. So, how did Liberty come into your present and future when you were in the past? Let's just take a break and be back right after this. You're listening to Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. You ever been
I think it's because you're hungry.
You're in the mud and you can't, and you just get deeper, like you're trying to get out of it. It's like that quicksand stuff in the movies. You're just trying to get out, and you're just making it worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Welcome back into this week's Liberty Flames Women's Basketball Show. We're speaking with Asia Boone, and we've talked about food. We've talked about where you've lived. I've completely embarrassed myself getting caught in some grammar quicksand that I just couldn't find my way out of. Now we're going to talk about, as you're eating.
Okay.
People on the podcast can't see it. People that are watching,
they can probably hear me crunching.
We're going to show that. You're. So what are you eating? You're eating peanut butter and pretzels.
Mm-hmm. The best combination.
Is that like recovery food? Is there a lot of protein in there?
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot of protein in peanut butter. I don't think there's protein in. Oh, there's 5 grams of protein in pretzels.
There you go. And you're young enough that high blood pressure is not an issue, so you can have salty food and it's not going to hurt you. So yeah, you're in good shape. Chocolate milk is supposed to be like a super recovery food as well. And so that's my justification for drinking chocolate milk. And then someone will go, "But you haven't worked out." Like what? Well, I'm recovering from walking around all day. I mean, you got to have protein no matter what you've been doing. If you've ever looked at your app on your phone, whether it's, I don't know what Apple's version is, but it's like the health, Samsung Health on mine. Yours is probably I something or other health. If you look at it, one of the things that you burn the most calories in a day is what? Sleeping.
Interesting.
You sleep at night and you burn like, I don't know, 500, 600, 700
That's
calories.
insane. I never knew that.
Yeah, you burn a lot of calories just sleeping. So when you wake up, you got to have some recovery food.
Wow.
Have some chocolate milk.
Wow, I did not know that. On top of practicing, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So people that sleep all day say, why are you sleeping? I'm trying to burn some calories. Would you leave me alone? I'm trying.
That's insane.
Yeah. I guess it's just because your body functions. Now, someone who's going to really cut me down to size, like Will or Laura or someone would probably say, if you just sit still, you would burn as many calories as you would sleeping. So if you're just sitting in your chair, you're burning calories. I don't necessarily know that being asleep burns more than being stationary and being awake. I'm going to pretend like it does because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But your body's still digesting food. It's still doing all of the functions. It just kind of slows down while you're sleeping, so it still has to keep generating heat. That burns calories. That's, I think, the whole thing is the generation of heat is what's burning the calories to start with.
That's insane. I learn something new every day.
Yeah, there we go. And I may have made half of that up. Who knows?
Well,
something for the listeners to Google and see if I make any sense at all. All right, so I'm going to tell you this. There's not a lot of stories over the years of being around Liberty women's basketball of freshmen that jump right in and start off the season in the starting lineup. I mean, there's been a few occasions, but it doesn't happen every year. It might happen once every few years. So, for one, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that might not have been your expectation coming into the season. I mean, everybody's going to be confident in their game, and they're going to go, yeah, I feel like I could translate my game to the college, level. But you probably weren't expecting to be in the starting lineup, were you?
Definitely not. Actually, the team and I went on this retreat for a couple of days, and Coach gave us a question on what's one word you will be throughout the whole season, throughout the whole year. And my word, for the team, and my word was learner. And I just wanted to learn from my upperclassmen, my big sisters, to learn the system, get better, just get my IQ up. But yeah, that was my word. But I definitely did not expect to just jump right into it. But I'm adapting pretty quickly. I usually do.
Position-wise, what would you have described yourself as coming into Liberty, as far as 1, 2, 3, 4? What would you have put on yourself coming in?
So when Coach Green was recruiting me, we talked about me being a point guard and a 2. So I'm a combo guard. I could either be a point guard or I could be a shooter. So that's what we mostly talked about. So I came prepared into coming into the system and being like, okay, I'm either going to be a point guard or I'm either going to be shooting guard. I just have to prepare myself on whichever position I'm going to be put in.
Okay. So you probably haven't had to play a lot of 3 in your life?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not. I had to play a lot of point guard, which I personally not a big fan. But if I'm put in the position, I will do my job.
And we've seen sometimes that you and Jordan Hodges are out there. Well, obviously you're out there a lot together. But then we've seen sometimes when Jordan, for example, what was it? Stephen F. Austin. She played like 41 minutes, and so the times where she's had to get a little bit of rest, and that you're either out there or Claudia is out there. I don't know if you two have been out there together. Trying to remember.
Claudia
you guys have been out there together a couple times. And so in those spots where you've almost got 2 point guards on the court, helpful?
I 100% agree. I definitely think it is very good that CG puts 2 point guards in the game, especially it's either Claudia or Jordan, me and Jordan, or me and Claudia. I always think it's really good to have 2 ball handlers in the game, because if Jordan, for example, in the North Carolina A&T game, Jordan was getting, they were pressing us, but she was getting denied. So I had to come up and play point guard. So it took the pressure off of her of always being like, okay, I always have to go get the ball. But no, I have a backup point guard or 2 that could also handle the ball and put us in the offense.
Yeah, and I think that's, you guys have played some teams that love to force turnovers, so that's pretty helpful.
Yes.
And for example, the Texas game, and I know you look at that and you go, there were still way too many turnovers, but everything else was going great. And so that's you can look at it and have sort of a mark to go, all right, we can't have 36 turnovers, but if we would have had even 20, we could have won this game.
Yes.
And so even though you don't want to have 36 turnovers, you still have some measurable goals that you can come out of that and go, that's the 15th ranked team in the country. We could have beaten them if we would have just cleaned things up.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it was a great experience for the girls and I, especially because we're a young team, but there's also some upperclassmen that have had experience in playing in those environments. But For us, as there's about 6 freshmen, so we're all a young team, so I think it was good for all of us to be playing together in that type of environment. So when we're put in that environment again, we know what to do and we're learning from our mistakes so we can improve as a team.
You look at the schedule, and again, as it's your first year, so you don't have anything to compare it to as far as college schedules are concerned. But I can tell you, this has got to be the toughest schedule that Liberty women's basketball has ever faced. And they've faced some good teams in the past, but it's usually a couple of good teams and then some solid mid-major teams, and then there's going to be some lower-end teams. And this schedule, just looking at the next 6 games, Gonzaga, they always make the NCAA tournament. They're not quite at the level that their men are, but they're pretty close on the women's side. Louisville's 15th ranked in the country. Alabama, of course, out of the SEC. We talked about JMU. They're always at the top of what used to be the CAA. Now they're in the Sun Belt, and they're right at the top of that. Towson's picked to win the CAA. And then you got a team in North Carolina State that just went to the Final Four a couple years ago. So you've got a murderer's row of opponents coming in. Is that, it's obviously going to get you ready for conference play, but are you kind of going, boy, we are in the lion's den right now?
For me, I've always been an underdog, and I personally love being the underdog because I have nothing to fear. So there's no pressure on me and my girls. So we just go in there with a positive mindset, play our hardest, just run through our sets, like play basketball how we know how to play. Like we do in practice every day. We practice and we go against each other. We go hard and just make each other better. So it'll prepare us in those situations.
The fact that you've had a couple of long road trips, it's going to end up being just trips to Texas, basically.
Yes.
You had the trip to Texas with Stephen F. Austin and then UT, and then now you're going to be at this tournament where you're in Texas for another 4.5 days, something like that. Bonding-wise, chemistry-wise, not that the team had bad chemistry to start with, but it's kind of a good time to even grow closer, I guess?
Yes, I definitely think so. I feel like all of us have a great relationship with each other, and I feel like that also correlates to going on the court and running our sets and knowing what we should be doing and doing our job. So as long as we have like a good chemistry off the court, it'll correlate to the game on the court.
We're almost at the end of your first semester as far as college is concerned. Anything that has surprised you as far as college life, either on the court or more specifically probably even off the court? Anything that's kind of, I wasn't expecting this?
Honestly, no, because I grew up going to my big sister's college games. She went to William & Mary, so I've seen the college life from a young age, and then I went to IMG, so that really prepared me because I lived in dorms. It was basically like the college life, but in high school. So I was definitely prepared. We were doing weights, practice, and then I went to school in the afternoon. Like it was a schedule. It was a very tough schedule. I was very busy, and it was just such an easy transition into here. So I don't think there was any surprises for me personally.
Is it kind of like if you take an AP English class in high school that's going to translate into college credit? I don't know if they still call it AP English, but something like that that's going to translate into college credit. Is IMG almost like the basketball version of that?
Yeah, it's a sports academy, so everybody that goes there plays a sport. So there's nobody there that does not play a sport. So all of the teachers were very lenient and worked with the athletes because they know our tough schedules, and some of us like sometimes we'll be gone for a tournament, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I liked it. I loved it actually. I loved the environment and the students and the teachers. Like everyone was really nice.
So nothing really caught you off guard as far as the college life, but talk about in the classroom. Like, what are you studying? Do you know the direction of your life post basketball, whenever that might be?
I'm majoring in aviation, commercial and corporate. So it's definitely a very hard major to be tackling, but I think I could do it. I love it so far.
Now, obviously there's aspects of aviation beyond being a pilot. Mm-hmm. Do you learn about the entirety of the industry?
Yes. So right now I'm in 2 classes in aviation. One is called UAS, which is Unmanned Aerial System. So I'm learning about drones and all that stuff about like how the police officers use drones and how either airlines like Delta or American is starting to use drones in their airlines, or how the law enforcement is starting to use drones to pinpoint the basically crime scenes and criminals and stuff.
Take photos of the crime scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And
yeah.
you just learn the laws, the safeties, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to go into the UAS department, you'll like if I change my mind and being like, okay, senior year, I really don't want to be a pilot. I want to go into UAS. I could because I already took the class. So it's pretty interesting. And then the other class is basically just an introduction of UAS. Why are you taking the class? Like, what do you want to specifically do? And then our professor has different departments of the aviation to come in and introduce what the departments are about, what would you be doing in your career, and all that stuff. So,
wow, yeah. That's really cool. You think of aviation as, okay, you got pilots and then you've got mechanics.
Yeah.
You've got people that are maintaining the aircraft and you got people that are flying the aircraft, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. Would even like the FAA type stuff kind of be in the same realm, air traffic controllers and stuff like that? Yeah.
The FAA is everywhere. If you're working airport systems, if you're working mechanics, if you're working technology, UAS, pilot, if you have a problem, you always go to the FAA, like always. It's kind of like the military. You always go to the boss. I
couldn't imagine the air traffic controllers. That has to be the toughest job.
Yeah.
Because they're so important and there's so much on the line, and the slightest mistake could be catastrophic. And you're looking at a screen. And I'm sure that computer technology has gotten better and better, and there's probably warning systems that can offset human error, but just how much pressure is on that person that they're controlling all these planes that are flying through the sky. And if you ever go to, like, what is that app? It's AirAware or no, I forget what it's called now. I can just look on my phone. But FlightAware. Yeah, FlightAware, and it'll show you how many planes are in the sky. There was one time I was at my mom's house, and we were just kind of sitting out on the porch, and you saw a plane go over, and I go, wonder where that plane's going. I was like, I bet there's an app for that. Sure enough, and you can click on it, and it shows that plane's going to Ireland. It left Atlanta, and it's heading to Ireland. Just kind of cool.
I did not know that. That's cool.
And then I kind of zoomed out a little bit, and she lives in East Tennessee, and it was just showing me the map of East Tennessee, and there were probably 12 planes, jets in various areas around there, and you zoom out a little bit more and you get to Atlanta, and there was probably 100 planes in and around the Atlanta airport, and then you zoom out to the entire country, and there's just thousands of planes going, because not only are you talking about the Atlanta to Charlotte's and the LA to DC's, but then just the little Pipers and the little Cessnas and the little private jets that are coming in and out of airports are showing there too. And we were sitting in at one point, I was like, this one's going to be kind of low. It's flying into local executive airport. It's like, we might be able to hear this. And sure enough, about 10 seconds later, going right over top of us. It was probably like 3,500 feet or something like that, and we could hear it. And so to be the person that has to kind of coordinate that and control all of that is just
that's definitely a tough job.
Mind blowing. All right. Well, I'll ask you this, and then we'll close up shop. As of right now, and I know this could change, what's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate job? What would be the perfect job once your professional basketball career is over, obviously, but now you're working in the aviation industry, what would be your go-to?
At first I wanted to do private piloting, but now I want to do commercial. So either working for Delta, American, United, being a pilot there.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be my go-to.
A320, 737, or do you want one of the monster planes?
I prefer the small planes.
Okay.
But it won't matter. But yeah.
So now that at some point soon we'll start to charter, and we'll kind of be on planes where it's just us, it's just the team.
Yeah.
So you'll probably be able to have a lot of interaction with the pilots and the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's going to be? I mean, obviously, if they let you up in the cockpit, you'd probably be more than happy to join them.
Yes, I think it would be really cool. It would be a good experience.
What's the first question that you would ask the pilot as you're getting on the plane about the flight ahead? Like, would you say, "Oh, we're going to do this"? Like, what kind of questions would you ask?
For me, I'm very inexperienced in aviation right now, probably because like I've never had. I mean, it's always been like a goal of mine to major in aviation when I got to college, but it's only been about a year and a half. And I got inspired when I watched Top Gun, the Maverick movie with my mom. She's a huge fan. So we went to go see it, and I got so inspired. I was like, yeah, I want to be, not specifically the military, but a pilot in general. I would love to. So I would honestly ask any question. Like, I would just look around and probably just ask, like, oh, what does that do? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I watch a lot of these. This is not good, I don't think, to then get on the plane after this. But I watch a lot of the documentaries on like air crash investigations. I think one of the ones is called Mayday. But it's basically it shows an investigation of what caused the accident. You know, how did it improve the industry?
Yeah.
In the whole thing. And so I have these words and these phrases and these things in my head that I know, but it's all come from the bad end of it, this happened. Oh, a jack screw came loose, and all of a sudden, you know, the rudder wouldn't work anymore, and so all these things. And I go, that's the last thing the pilot wants somebody to ask a question about.
Exactly.
Before the flight starts. Is, hey, I saw this documentary on, you know, whatever. But I imagine that those things, if you're going to be an aspiring pilot, as much as you don't necessarily want to think about planes crashing, but you kind of have to be knowledgeable of what has caused incidents in the past to help you not, you know, history doesn't repeat itself.
Exactly.
Do you ever watch any of those?
No, actually. I mean, I watch documentaries, but I kind of like the criminal ones.
Okay.
But I'm going to start watching those. That actually seems pretty interesting.
It is. It's really fascinating. I'll give you one to go find. This is one of my favorites. It goes back, I think it's into the 80s. There's a British Airways flight, and it's flying. The pilot, it's a 4-pilot crew because I think it's a long enough journey that they have to rest and then come back. So the pilot, the head captain, he goes back. Mm-hmm. The others are there, and all of a sudden, this bright lights are flashing onto they call it a windscreen. I guess we would call it a windshield, and they called it St. Elmo's fire, but it was like it was causing these little specks and this glare, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And shortly after that, the engines started shutting down. The 4-engine plane, one by one, all 4 engines. Now they're just a glider over the ocean. And they don't know what happened, and they eventually get low enough, and they're able to refire the engines, and it works, and everybody's safe. They land, and everything's cool. But what was causing these specks?
The flash. Interesting.
Volcano. It
What?
was ash from a volcano. So they're looking at the radar, and there's nothing on the radar. There's no storm, so there's no electricity. Yeah. There's no lightning. There's no rain. So they don't see it because ash doesn't show up on a radar. But a volcano had erupted, and they were flying through the ash, and it was causing this. It was like little tiny, teeny rocks that were hitting it, and that was what was causing the windscreen to start to degrade and get dusty almost. And then this stuff was getting in the engines. It was getting in the engines hot enough that it would then melt, and it was getting gooey, and it would shut the engines down.
Oh my goodness.
And fortunately, when they got low enough and it got cold, it broke off. And it exited the engine. They were able to fire it back up again. But that's why now, when a volcano erupts, kind of like what's happening in Iceland right now, and it had happened back, I think, in 2010, they shut down all air traffic, you know, in the area because of the dangers that volcanic ash can cause. That's the one to start with. I forget what it's called. Again, it's Air Emergency or Mayday or something like that. But if you type in British Air volcano flight or something like that, it is so cool. That would be. Yep. Check it out. Thank you. Well, we've learned a lot today as we look back at our conversation. We've learned a lot about food and protein, and we'll maybe learn more about how many calories you burn while you're sleeping and whether or not I was right about any of that stuff. But aviation now, we've talked a little bit about basketball, and so a lot of fun stuff. I guess as we go into Christmas time, have you done any of your Christmas shopping yet?
No, but I know what I'm getting them. I just have to get it.
So you're trying to get some deals?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you find any good deals, let me know, because I'm kind of
you.
in that same mode right now. I know some things I need to get everybody, but I just want to try to find the best price out there. So that's cool. Well, Asia, it was fun talking, and I'm thoroughly hungry now that we've had this conversation. So I'm going to go straight to Chick-fil-A or someplace to get some brisket or find some deviled eggs somewhere. But all the best the rest of this season.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the show this week.
Thank you for having me.